Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Beyond Mirage. Today, we have with us Mr. Alok Taunk, who is a mindfulness and mindset coach. He's on a mission to help professionals and the society as a whole to lead a happy, peaceful, and spiritually awakened lifestyle by integrating strategic principles of mindfulness. He is also the co founder of Eastern Mindfulness, a wellness platform which provides mindfulness based processes and programs to companies. He is also the co founder of guided meditation app Mindfeed. Welcome, Alok sir, to the podcast and web series of Beyond Mirage.
Thank you, Jay. First of all, I'd like to appreciate and congratulate you for the series that you are carrying on. And, it's really good to see people like you, youngsters like you, who are actually getting into this journey of self awareness and mindfulness and understanding the inner aspect of our being, right? Because today, if we see a lot of people, especially youngsters and millennials, somewhere we get lost in a lot of digital distraction that is happening. But it's also good to see people like you who are actually trying to make a difference. So more power to you, Jay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that, for the kind words. So first of all, I would like to ask you, when did your journey start into mindfulness? And was it this coaching thing and was already on your mind, or was there a turning point in your life that happened and let you do
Mm.
these things?
That's that's a nice question. I've been answering that for a while now because people are really interested in knowing where am I coming from, what school of thought. Jay, honestly speaking, I had no idea about being a coach. I never thought that I would ever be a coach or a trainer. I would get into this space, never ever,
Mm.
because I come from a corporate background, a very conventional background wherein I did my MBA in marketing. I started with sales, and you know how sales job goes, right? Lot of
100%, sir.
pressure, lot of yeah, lot of pressure, daily targets. You are answerable to so many different people, and you have bosses to work with. You have team members to handle, etc. And
Month
crazy
ends.
clients also. Yeah, month ends and reports and stuff like that. uh, Earlier it was exciting, but over a period of time, Jay, I started noticing that I was experiencing a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, uh, because let's accept this fact that things don't always happen as per expectation.
Right.
Right? um, Days are not planned as you have planned them. They don't actually come up that way. uh, and that was stressful. But the thing is, Jay, right from the age of 15, I've been practicing certain modalities in terms of mindfulness, in terms of meditations, in terms of self awareness. Now, I was pushed into this, I was made to do that. Willingly, I never did that because I always had this question as a child, as a young adult. I always had this question that how is this going to help me? Why should I be
Mm.
doing this?
Mm.
But at that age, you don't have that much of power to, tell your parents or tell your guide to, I don't want to do this, or if you are guided into something, you just do it. So I just kept on doing it as a practice. And then it becomes a routine, right? As we go to a gym or you go for a walk, that became a routine.
Mm.
But later on, when I was going through this stresses, this burnout, a lot of tension, a lot of anxiety at my workplace, that's when, Jay, I started understanding that how these practices were holding me strong and making me stand till long. By that, what I mean
Mm.
is emotionally, mentally, physically, I was able to cope up with them. How did I got to know that I'm able to cope up with them? Because I was able to compare myself with my colleagues, my bosses, my clients, my team members, because we were all experiencing the same kind of pressures.
Right.
We were experiencing the same kind of demands externally. But the way I was able to hold myself and not have an outburst or react, or rather, I would take a pause and just reflect on that situation and think to myself that what can we actually do in this particular situation, how we can actually tackle with this particular client, how we can work creatively on this.
Mm.
That's when there was this moment of realization that maybe there is something that is working for me. you know.
Right.
And at the same time, I was able to see my colleagues, few of my colleagues, who were really good friends. I was able to see them suffer in terms of their health, in terms of their relationships, etc. Because everyone, if you see, Jay, has a different tendency and a different way, a different methodology to deal with stress.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
if you see psychologically, if you see, one person may start overeating unknowingly to handle stress. Other
Hmm.
person might completely lose his or her appetite because of stress.
Hmm.
Another person would have sleepless nights because of stress. Someone would sleep more extensively to cope up with stress.
Right.
Everyone has their own individual personality of dealing with stress. And I was able to see this colleague of mine. He started overeating. He turned obese, which was not really good from the health perspective.
Hmm.
The other friend of mine, other colleague of mine, he went through a divorce. Why? Because he was
Okay.
not able to handle work life balance, because there's a lot of pressure. The market was growing, a lot of client, an unrealistic expectation. And everyone is not good at handling stress, right?
Right.
Or managing that work. So that's when, Jay, I thought that people don't have to go through this. This is just work, right? this
Hmm.
is not this is not the main aspect of life. This is just work. It's one of the supporting activities of life. But if you are getting so stressed that you're not able to enjoy, you're not able to, you know stay calm, you're not able to have that moment of happiness, then what is this work for? So
Exactly.
that's when, Jay, I thought to myself that if certain things are working for me, let me just bring that to all of them. So I started that way. I started small, wherein I started connecting to people whom I was able to see were actually suffering. And then I started growing. Then I started connecting with organizations. I started connecting with entrepreneurs, individuals. That's how I established my Eastern Mindfulness platform. So I had no plans of being a coach. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So it's like you just went with the flow and
Mm.
it's just started opening up. So yeah, that's really great. And sometimes I also wonder, we think a lot about future, and for that, from that aspect, we don't take certain decisions in our life. And
Mm.
it's good that we think about the future, but thinking only about the future and not working in the present to change something around you might lead you to more sort of overthinking and stuff like that, basically.
Yes, yes, yes. So, basically what happens is, if you see, this is our tendency to be perfect, right?
Hmm.
All of us, we want to be perfect. We want to make the perfect move. We want to take the perfect step. We want to do things in the perfect manner. But if you see, Jay, perfectionism is a myth,
Right.
it's an illusion. There is nothing like being perfect. If the first iPhone that was launched was perfect, we would never have had iPhone 6,
Serious.
iPhone 7, 7 Plus. If iPhone 12 or 12 Pro is perfect, we would never have the upcoming models. It's
Hmm.
not just about the technology, but about anything and everything that you see around you. The only fact that is a reality is evolution, right?
Hmm.
You
Right.
keep on becoming a better version of yourself. The
Right.
work that you do, the decisions that you take, you only have to become better at doing it. But perfectionism is an illusion, and people who are trapped in that illusion, they start procrastinating, and
Hmm.
they never achieve what they're actually wanting to achieve. Make
Right.
sense?
Amazing. Yep, definitely it makes sense. So that brings me to one more question, which is like when you decided to take the step. Okay. So at
Mm,
that time you were into a corporate world. Okay. And you definitely would be in a leading position, having a team, managing different
mm,
levels of projects, having that great paycheck, XYZ. Okay. So, and then taking a step like this, yes, definitely it's good in the future. And definitely you are going to impact a lot of lives around you, and which you are doing it right now.
mm.
But at that moment, if you rewind your life back, what was going in your mind? Like there must be ifs, buts, and everything, because you are
Mm.
going to just go from, say, highest level to lowest level maybe, and then maybe rebuild it again.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what was going in your mind, and how did you actually cope up with that? Because I believe that many times we also take certain kind of decisions like this, and we need to take certain kind of decisions, say drastically. So,
Hmm.
what should one think, or what was going in your mind, and how did you cope up with that?
So, Jay, there were a couple of other startups as well that I planned in that transition.
Okay.
And they were not mindfulness based startups, but they were certain product based startups. Of course, they were health product based startups. Um, I wanted to build that bridge between where I was and where I wanted to go, because that shift requires some kind of authority building as well.
Hmm.
This is something which is very much important, that potential speakers or aspiring speakers or coaches, they need to understand. um, Wherever you are, and if you're planning to become a coach, right, if you're planning to become uh, an inspiration in the near future, you need to build an authority. Only then people will want to hear you. Otherwise, how will you prove yourself? You need to prove yourself first. Only then you'll be able to perform. So this is what I realized, that why would people listen to me when I talk about mindfulness, right? Why would people would want to come to me to learn mindfulness?
Hmm.
So that's when see, I was anyways practicing it right from the age of 15, but that was just to myself. Only I knew what I was doing, right? But I
Hmm.
never made it public, or I never preached, right? I was not on social media as a mindfulness coach. I was just an individual doing normal stuff, right?
Right. Right.
So that's when I thought that, I will have couple of startups which will help me build some kind of cash flow, and that cash flow will keep the boat moving, right?
Okay.
Until that, in that time frame, whatever grace period that I get, right, I will start building my authority and influence on social media.
Okay.
So then I started pouring in all my experiences, all my knowledge, whatever I've gathered, whatever I've built, my routine, my practices, and then things which are related to mindfulness, mental health, wellness, decision making, handling yourself, your emotions, and all this I started putting on social media. That's how I started building a lot of authority. And also, Jay, if you see, if you become a value giver,
Hmm.
everyone would like to connect with you. Why? Because every time and any time when they come to your page, right, or when they connect with you, there is one surety that they will get something out of that.
Right.
So that's how people started connecting with me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, etc. So then at the same time I was building my influence, I was structuring my business. So there's so much that was going on in my mind. And yes, Jay, there are times when you have a lot of doubt as well, that whether I'll be able to cope up with this or not, whether this will be a hit idea or a flop idea. Your mind plays
Hmm.
games.
Right.
But at that moment of time, Jay, what is really important is you know what your mission is. You
Hmm.
should know what is driving you. You should know what your passion is, because that is your fuel, right?
Right.
Clarity will give you confidence, and
Okay.
confidence will make you take action,
Actions. Perfect.
right? So clarity is something which is very much important. If you don't have clarity that why do I want to make this switch, why do I want to become a coach, why do I want to pursue this particular subject or this domain,
Hmm.
how will this help me, or how will I be able to make a difference or make an impact in the world, right? What
Hmm.
is your intention behind becoming a coach? What is your intention behind sowing this seed? If you don't have clarity on all these aspects, you will never be able to be confident in that area. And if
Right.
someone just throws a question at you, you'll be confused,
Confused.
and you might also think of quitting, right? So you need to have a lot of clarity, you need to build a lot of confidence. At the same time, you also need to look at the business aspect, the financial aspect of that, right?
Hmm.
So that's the reason you need to have something to hold on to, something to support, but at the same time you need to have a strong vision and a powerful purpose.
Amazing. Brilliant. Okay. And which brings me to a very basic question. We have been talking about mindfulness and everything, but many listeners of yours might be still confused that what mindfulness is exactly.
Mm.
Okay. So, can you just go in the depth of it a bit and tell us what mindfulness is? Like, just you're explaining to a small kid. Okay.
Mm. Yes. So, you know what, Jay, if I want to explain it to a small kid, I'll not get into the depth of it. I'll get into the basic understanding of it, right? And this is
Okay.
how I like to present it, because I don't want to get into the jargons or the scientific aspect of it and use some really complicated words or concepts, which will actually make you think that no, I'm not that person. Mindfulness is not for me.
For me.
Okay, so let's understand it in the most simplest manner.
Mm,
Mindfulness is the process of building awareness. Okay.
okay.
Mindfulness is the process of building awareness in order to get better clarity. That's
Um,
it.
Amazing.
That's it. I don't want to go into any other realms of it. This is the first step. If you just understand this aspect of it, that mindfulness is the process of building awareness in order to get better clarity. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
Now, how does this make sense? See, the thing is, when you are aware of something, right, that will give you more clarity about that particular subject. Okay.
Mm,
When you are clear about something, that's when you have more confidence about that particular subject or that particular area.
mm.
When you're confident about that particular area, that's when you take action. And when you take action, that's when you get results.
Amazing.
Right?
Amazing.
So it
Yeah.
all starts at the point where you start building awareness.
Right.
Right? Mm,
Okay. So clearing the clutter in your mind and bringing
mm,
that clarity that why I want to do what I want to do.
mm.
So that, yeah,
Yes.
that's relate me to the golden circle theory by Simon Sinek, which says that first you should know your
Mm,
why, and then
yes.
you come
The
to
why, not
how.
how.
How,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
See, if you see, Jay, if you really want to build good health, right,
Mm,
you need to have clarity in terms of what you need to eat, how much you need to walk, what kind of exercises you need to do, how much water you need to drink. You need clarity on all this, right? And in order to have that clarity about your nutrition chart, you need to be aware, first of all, about that concept of being healthy, holistic health. If you are not aware of it, there will be no clarity. If you have no clarity, you will never be able to be confident enough to take that first step,
mm,
right? The same stands true about finances also. If you want to have more clarity in terms of investments, if you want to have clarity in terms of building your portfolio, your financial portfolio, you need to first bring awareness in terms of all those concepts. If you don't know what mutual fund is, if you don't know what SIP is, if you don't know what stock market is, you will never be able to bring clarity. And if there is no clarity, you will never be confident
confident.
about those products. And if you are not confident, you will never take that first step of investing. Make sense?
Right.
So
Perfect.
this formula stands true everywhere, even in parenting for that matter. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So bring in the clarity, get the confidence to take actions, which will definitely give you results in the future.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
perfect. The four steps, very basics, very clear on that, like a bang on. So,
Yes.
yeah, and which brings me to one of the terms that we associate also, which is like
Mm,
consciousness or conscious living.
mm,
When you talk about awareness, it leads that something behind you is guiding you to,
mhm,
which gives a clarity, which gives a confidence, which helps you to take actions. So what do
mm,
you, when someone says that you should live consciously, when you should live with full awareness, what
mm,
exactly does that mean, and how can we actually relate to our present life when we talk about conscious living?
mm, 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 mm. That's a very good question, Jay. The thing is, our personalities, Jay, if you see, every individual is different,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Every individual is unique. And what makes that person unique is his experiences.
Hmm.
his
Right.
or her school of thought, their upbringing, the way
Perfect.
they have been living life,
Mm.
right? The parenting that they have gone through, their friends, their experiences of life. So, what makes us unique is all those baggages that we are carrying along with us, right? And all these experiences and all this that we are carrying along, they also alter our perceptions, right? It's like you are wearing a glass that, and you are looking at the world through those glasses of yours, right? And those glasses are tinted.
Right.
They are tinted by your experiences, they are tinted by your lessons that you have learned in life, they are tinted by the failures or the successes that you have gone through, right? And now we are looking at the world through those glasses. And that's the reason, Jay, if you see one situation, the same situation can be described in 10 different ways by 10 different people,
Mm. Right.
right? Now, when we talk about conscious living is the concept of just taking off those glasses.
Okay.
Okay. When you take off those glasses, now you're looking at the world, you're looking at the situation as it is, not better than what it is, not worse than what it is, not influenced by your past experiences or what someone else has told you about that particular thing, that particular person, or that particular situation. You're just looking at everything that is around you as it is in its natural and organic form,
Okay.
right? Um, I'm sure, Jay, you are aware about NLP, right? Neuro
Mm.
linguistic programming.
Programming. Yeah.
In NLP, there is a concept which says that our perceptions, whenever we look at something, we either delete it, we distort it, or we generalize it, right?
Mm.
Whatever we are seeing, it goes through these three filters.
Okay.
So once you train your brain to see things, people, and situation in its organic form, right? That's what conscious living means. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are about to meet a person, okay,
Okay.
and you have this meeting with this person, maybe a potential client, or it can be anyone, okay, and your friend tells you, "Hey Jay, listen, thoda dhyan se hai, just take care, okay,
Mm.
because I've had a very bad experience with this person. So just make sure that you stay safe, and you don't get into any kind of muck when you meet this person."
Mm.
Now what will happen is, Jay, this person has taken off his glasses and given to you.
To you.
Now
Yeah.
you are wearing those glasses. Now when you meet this person, you will be extra cautious, and you will see that person from a very different perspective. Yes or no?
100%.
Even if that person is genuine, even if that person is giving his 200% and being the best of the person, still you will have a lot of doubts that why did he say that, why did he behave like that, etc., etc., right?
Right. And I'll be
Yeah.
also relating all the things that he does
Yes.
or she does to the glasses or the filter that my friend
Mm,
has passed on to me. Yeah. So
exactly.
whether he or she takes the action very genuinely and with very good intentions, but I have worn those glasses, so I'll be relating it in the other way.
Yes. And if you see, Jay, the time since we are born, everyone around us are giving their version of glasses to us. Our parents, our teachers, our guides, our mentors, our friends, people in the society, television, social media, advertisements, right? So we are wearing so many glasses now. So everything that we are seeing around us is just an illusion, right? You know, I'm sure you must have heard this story that there was this the story of the frogs, right? That there was this wall, and there's so many frogs who were just trying to escape that particular boundary,
Mhm.
and all the frogs, they were just trying to climb that wall, but there were other frogs, They were saying that, hey, listen, you'll not be able to make it. You'll not be able to make it. It's too high. It's too high. It's too high. And just by listening to all that comments and the negative comments, the discouraging comments that the other friends were making, one after the other, all the frogs started falling down. And they came and they said that, yes, you were right. This is too tall and will not be able to make it, will not be able to cross the wall. But there was one frog who was able to make it, right? And he was on the top of the wall and he was standing. Now everyone was amazed that how did he make it, right?
Mm.
Then they got to know that he was deaf.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So all the other frogs, they were influenced by what the friends and other people were saying, the other frogs were saying. But this frog was just living consciously, and that's the reason that frog was seeing things as they were and not worse than what that condition was, right? So if you see, Jay, in this particular situation, when we are going through this pandemic, we are going through this tough times, this challenging time, whether it is about your career, whether it's about your business, your relationships, your jobs, there are so many different stories that we hear every day.
Mm.
There are frogs out there who keep on shouting at us and telling us that, hey, you will not be able to make it. It's too tough. Businesses are shutting down. What do you think? Why do you think your business will keep on running? We are losing job. What makes you think that you will have your job, etc., etc., etc. There's so many negative things that you see in the news channels as well.
Right.
Now, most of the people, they get influenced by all this negativity which is there around,
Mm.
right? But if you are able to see the situation as it is, not better than what it is, not worse than what it is, then you will be more creative compared to what others are doing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. So,
Make sense?
so yeah, makes sense. So, how do you actually drop all the baggage that you have been carrying till now, all the
Yes.
conditioning that has already been done? Because that's the most important thing. So, if we drop, then only we'll be able to see the
Yes.
reality as it is. So,
Yes. That's a good question. That's a very good question. Smart question, I'd say. So, Jay, it all has to do, I call it as the science of questioning, right? Um, we have all the answers. We
mm,
understand everything. We have all the wisdom. The thing is that we are not wise enough to ask smart questions to ourselves, right?
okay,
See,
yeah,
if you start Google, right? If you start Google, and if you ask this question to Google, that how can one die instantly? Okay, how can one die instantly? Do you think Google will give you answers?
it would give us suggestions. They will
No,
not
it
give
will give
answers, but
you.
there will be various blogs that would be there
Yes,
about
yes,
dying and from
yes,
that
yes.
keyword basically.
Exactly. It will give you thousands of pages, right? And it
Yeah,
will also tell you that, see, we have served you in 0.0056 seconds, right?
exactly.
Now, if you ask Google another question saying that, how can a person live for 100 years? Do you think Google will give you answers?
Same. It's the
Same.
same.
It will. That's how it is programmed, the algorithm, right? It
Yeah.
will take the keywords, it will match the suggestions, and it will throw all the answers at you.
Oh, yeah.
Again, you will get thousands of pages, and again, it will tell you we gave you answer in 0.0006 seconds, right?
Yeah.
The the fundamental understanding lies in what kind of question you are asking. Whether you ask a stupid question, then too you will get an answer, but the answer will be a stupid answer. If you ask a smart question, still you will get an answer, but the answer will be a smart answer. Right? That just we just what we just spoke was about Google and AI, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But when we ask the question to this Google, this mind of ours, right? That is a super powerful AI, right? it's
Right.
it's it's cosmic intelligence, right?
Right.
And when you ask that question, automatically you start getting answers. So what are the questions that you need to ask? Number one, whenever you find yourself in a difficult situation or an overwhelming situation, you need to ask yourself that, is this as bad as I think it is? Number one,
Okay.
right? This will break your autopilot, because
Hmm.
generally we are in that autopilot, you know It is called as the herd mentality.
Yeah.
Everyone is doing that, even I'll be doing that. Okay, that's because that's the right thing to do. Why? Because everyone is doing it.
Everyone is doing that.
So that's the first question. This will make you understand that, oh, this is not as bad as I'm thinking it to be. Right? Number two, the second question you ask yourself is, what can I learn from this situation? Right?
Right.
What can I learn from this situation? Now you are actually channelizing your focus towards the positives. Right?
Hmm.
Number three, what is an immediate action step that I can take right now in order to progress? So now you're not thinking about why did this happen, why it always happens to me, why am I the victim? But now we are focusing on the future, that how can I make this better? Right?
Hmm.
The
Right.
fourth question that you ask yourself is, how is this situation making me a better individual? Because many a times it might happen that in those crises, in those really tough situation, you start taking certain actions which you would have not taken otherwise. Right?
Right.
You were in
Right.
your comfort zone, you would have not taken. But now you should be grateful that yes, this situations took place, and that's the reason I'm taking that I'm going that extra mile. So when you ask these questions to yourself, Jay, automatically you will shed off all those autopilot factors, and then you will start living a more conscious life as things are, in fact better.
Right, definitely, 100%. So when you talked about the science of asking questions, that
Mm,
takes me back to one of the things that I read in our scriptures. Was it in
mm,
Upanishads? कि प्रश्न करो, प्रश्न के गर्भ में ही उसका उत्तर है. So you keep
mm,
questioning properly, you will
yes,
find the answers in the depth of that questions only. As you said, that the answers are
yes,
already within us. We just need to find the right type of questions. So
very
yes,
true.
100%. That's really great. And the questions that you said, those questions
Mm,
actually will help us to take our mind away, say away, backwards, I would say, and just
mm,
see the situation as it is. So that's
yes,
how you actually become aware, I think. Because when I
mm,
ask myself, is it painful or is it actually that bad, then
mm.
for a moment I'll have to go back and I'll have to take a third person view in that
It's called
question.
an objective perspective.
Yeah.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
looking at the situation from an objective standpoint.
Right, right. So that
Mm,
will help me to go back and just look at the situation as it is. Yeah, perfect.
mm,
So that would 100% help me to then say the pros and the cons of the situation, and then I'll be able to take the step instead of just
true.
wearing that glasses and just having that
Mm,
herd mentality. नहीं ऐसा ही है तो ऐसा ही है, ऐसा नहीं. Okay,
mm,
perfect, perfect, 100%. And if someone is really interested in mindfulness and wants to start
mm,
practicing mindfulness, okay, conscious living, we have talked about conscious living, we have talked about various questions which would help us to take a step back and have to look at the situation as it is. If someone wants to start practicing mindfulness, how should they start, at least?
Jay, the thing is, I've seen this in my practice, in my career, and in my coaching, whatever tenure it is, that people, they are scared in terms of starting anything new, or they have this idea of whether I'll be able to do it or not, whether this is for me or not.
Hmm.
And we are very skeptical about any new concept that comes to us. At the same time, many a times you also want to do something, you also want to try out things, but you are not sure what is the right way of doing it, or what is the right step to take. So I generally tell this to people that when you talk about meditation, or when you talk about mindfulness, you don't have to think it as you'll have to sit for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes, and that's how you start practicing mindfulness or any of the meditation techniques.
Hmm.
What you can do is just start by breath consciousness or breath awareness for 60 seconds. That's it. Just for 60 seconds, what you have to do is make yourself available, park yourself, no engagements, no digital distractions, no conversations. Make yourself, uh, you just go to a place where you are undisturbed, right? You're not disturbed for the next 60 seconds, right? Just
Hmm.
1 minute with your eyes open, closed, or lowering your gaze, in your mind's eye, connect with your breath. Okay. So every breath that is coming in and every breath that is going out, you just hold on to your breath. You don't leave it. Okay. So it's like
Mm,
you're holding hands with your breath. Okay.
mm,
So with your eyes closed, what you do is, in your mind's eye, you just watch your breath, the way it is coming in and the way it is going out, the way it is coming in and the way it is going out. And in the process, if you find that your mind is loitering, you just bring it back. Okay. And do it for just 60 seconds. So that's how you start building your mental muscle. Right.
right.
Now, what happens, Jay, when you're doing this, you will make sure that your mind is not in the past, it's not going in the future. So you're trying to keep your mind anchored and parked in this moment. So
Mm,
that's a baby step that you take. Then when you think that, yes, it's easy for me to hold on to my mind in this particular moment, then you just double it up. So now you do it for 2 minutes, then you do it for 3 minutes. That's how you keep on increasing your appetite.
right, right. Okay. And so, one question that arises in my mind after we have
Mm,
talked so much about consciousness, mindfulness, conscious
mm,
living, the questions one should ask, the baby step one should take for mindfulness.
mm.
What is success according to you?
That's a wonderful question. I love that. Jay, success for me is uh, is continuous progress in your life. That's how I see success as.
Wow.
It's not about having materialistic acquisitions. It's not about stacking up things. It's not about the bank balance. It's not about what you own in terms of property and all this.
Mhm.
That is all a part of it. It's all a part of the whole.
Right.
What I understand about success is that day after day, you are making progress in your life from the health perspective, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, you're growing. So your benchmark keeps on rising every day.
Yeah.
That's what success is for me. Um, and I tell it in this way that success is not about stacking up materialistic things, but it is an emotional feeling. It's an emotional sensation of continuous progress,
Mm,
right? Because Jay, if you just think about it, if you see yourself growing every day in terms of your understanding, in terms of your business, in terms of what you're doing, in terms of the impact you are making,
mm,
having more money, having materialistic acquisitions, that all is a byproduct that is anyways going to happen.
right.
Right. It's anyways going to happen. But what you need to focus on is that how you're growing in terms of an individual, the impact that you're making, your understanding, your consciousness, whether you are improving on those levels or not. So that's success for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So, and last question, like three books that you would like to recommend if
Mm.
anyone wants to read. Since you said that it's a new concept and people are would be in a dilemma whether you want to try it, whether you don't want to try it, whether it's for me, whether it's not for me. So sometimes reading or listening or watching certain things helps.
Yeah.
So three books that you would like to recommend to anyone.
So is this about mindfulness
Yep.
itself?
Yep.
So Jay, in specific, I would just say that if you really want to understand about mindfulness, you just pick up any book which has the title of mindfulness, or for that matter, what you can also do is just go on internet and just type in mindfulness. You will have so many YouTube videos talking about mindfulness. See, why I'm saying this is, if you really want to understand mindfulness, you need to get into the depth and the conception level of where is mindfulness originating from.
Mm.
Why I'm not saying that you pick up this book or that book, because whatever concepts that are floating around when it comes to mindfulness, um, there's a lot of tweaks that have happened.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And people have spinned around a lot of concepts, a lot of technical terms and clinical usages and jargons which are there, right? So if you just want a basic understanding of mindfulness, you just pick any book, because you will find the same kind of definition everywhere. Okay. Or
Okay.
if you just type mindfulness on Google, you'll get so many TED talks, or you'll get so many definitions. There's so many things that you will get, right?
Right.
But if you really want to understand about mindfulness, um, okay, let me just quickly get into the evolution phase of it.
Okay.
Yeah. See, the thing is, how mindfulness came into practice and how mindfulness was served to the world, right? Earlier, when we talk about the Sanatan, right,
Sanatan Dharma.
not the Sanatan Dharma. So we had the rishis and maharishis and the saints who used to have their own practices,
Hmm.
and they were really in-depth practices of self-actualization, self-realization, and all those practices, right? And then Gautama Buddha, who was a king then, right?
Hmm.
Siddhartha. So he was a ruler. He was a king, right? Then he went to the saints to have some kind of learning, because they had those classes. The classes is
Yeah.
this the words that we use now, but that's when they used to learn from the saints.
Yeah.
So that's how we acquired certain concepts from the Sanatan. And then he came up with his own learnings and stretch of what to say, commandments that he wanted his people to follow,
Hmm.
right? And that was called as Sati Pathana.
Okay.
Sati Pathana was a practice that Buddha started, right? And people started following, and there were a lot of commandments, eightfold practices, and stuff like that. Then from there were monks who actually started practicing those on a daily basis. Then, the Dalai Lama phase, Dalai Lama 1, 2, and all those, levels, it came into existence.
Hmm.
Then the Westerners, who are really interested in this concept of what's actually happening. So that's how it went to the Western world, that
Okay.
the Zen philosophy and the Buddhism philosophy. And then, if you're aware, there were many movies that came into existence, 7 Years in Tibet, and
Yeah.
all those movies, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's how the West started understanding about mindfulness. That, oh yes, this is a really nice concept. And then there were certain research and studies that started happening in terms of understanding, what are the brain level changes that happen, the clinical tests, the MRIs and fMRIs and all that, EEGs that started happening, in order to understand the difference between a normal person's brain and a monk's brain, a monk who is meditating for hours and hours, right? That's when this all got to a lot of interest. The interest spiked in terms of how mindfulness is actually making a lot of difference. So then this word was
Word
coined,
coined.
that is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
It was Satipatthana. From that, there was some concept which was taken, there was something that was tweaked, and then mindfulness came into existence. And then what we are understanding mindfulness as of now is not the pure form of mindfulness how it was started, right? So that's the reason when you talk about books, so I would say that if you want to have the general understanding or definition, you can get it on Google. You pick up any book, right? But if you really want to get into the depth of it, start becoming a student of mindfulness, and then you will actually know that what exactly mindfulness is. Right?
Wow, amazing, amazing. Like that's really in-depth explanation, and I would say that was really helpful. Actually, that
Mm.
actually we have everything in our roots, but
Yes.
sometimes we forget our roots and we want to try something else. As we say, the grass is always greener on other side.
Other
So
side. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
so that's the thing that we are of forgetting. And maybe if we focus
Mm,
more on ourselves, our roots, then maybe
mm.
there is a lot of things that can be explored. And the real thing that actually can take you say at a different state of being, as you said, it's on improving ourselves daily and progressing over
Yes.
ourselves. So it's basically taking from one state of being to another state of being to another state of being. Yeah.
And you
So
know what, Jay? You must have noticed that even you are studying about mindfulness and you are preaching mindfulness. You must be aware about this course called MBSR, right? Mindfulness based stress reduction.
hmm,
It's one of the well known courses in this field
hmm,
in mindfulness. Now, and this was developed by John Kabat-Zinn. So he was one of the earlier adapters of this entire domain of mindfulness who took it in the West. Even if you see the name of this, it's mindfulness based stress reduction. Okay, so it's more inclined towards the clinical aspect of it. How can, from the health perspective, or the the wellness industry, how can they benefit out of the mindfulness practices?
hmm,
But when you look at the scriptures, or what Satipathana tells about mindfulness,
hmm.
it is about how to end suffering. Okay,
Right, right.
so Buddha said that mindfulness is to end suffering, the human suffering. Okay,
Hmm,
but then, see, in every age you need to speak the language that people understand,
right,
right? And that's what advertising is all about.
right.
If you don't speak the right language, then people will not understand what your product is all about, right?
Hmm,
So then there were these alterations which were necessary in order to connect with the population, with the people that we are living, the age that we are living in, so that we understand what it is all about. If you go and talk to people that, okay, now we are going to practice something which will end all your sufferings, people will not understand what you're talking about. Right? But when you say that, hey, listen, this is something which will help you to reduce stress and anxiety and burnout, and that's when people will say, yes, that's for me.
right. Perfect, perfect. 100%. Yeah. So that's amazing. And I thank you very much for doing this episode, doing this podcast with me. And thank you, Alok, sir, or I would say Alok. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. And I'll be say, so if anyone wants to check out, okay, his work, his programs, do connect with him. Most genuine person, most humble person, and definitely helps a lot to everyone. So I'll be linking Alok's handle below in my description over YouTube and Spotify and everywhere. So you can check his website, you can check his handles, you can connect with him over Instagram. I'm 100% sure he will be helpful.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jay. Right from the bottom of my heart, I extend my gratitude for inviting me here on your platform, and a lot of success to you, and keep on spreading this awareness and this light, because the world needs this. Yeah. So thank you, Jay. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Alok.